But did you know you can use this device as an Xbox 360 controller on the PC? And you can play Street Fighter V with it? Some pretty cool stuff. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Handhelds. I'm Joey, and today I'm going to be helping you out with a starter guide for your new Anbernic RG Arc. And the first thing we're going to do is move the ROMs that come with the device to a better SD card. In case you're new to the space, the ROM SD card that comes with these devices isn't high quality and it's prone to failure. And that actually goes for the ROMs or games as well. So my suggestion is to buy a better branded SD card, and in this video, I'm going to be using a Samsung Evo Select 256GB card. Or if you prefer, you can use the same brand for 128GB. I'll leave links in the description for both, as well as the SD card reader that I personally use in case you need one. My operating system card came with a branded Kioxia one, so that one doesn't need to be changed out. However, if yours came with an unbranded one, I'd suggest cloning your card using something like Macrium Reflect or Win32 Disk Imager, but that's going to be outside of today's guide. Anyway, for the ROMs, it's pretty easy. It's just folders, so we're just going to be copying and pasting all of the folders on the ROM SD card that's connected to your computer to just any other folder. I created one on my desktop called RG Arc. It's obviously going to take some time, so just wait a little bit. Safely eject after you've copied everything over, and we're going to be connecting our new SD card. Now we just need to format it as FAT32. So right-click on it in Windows and click Format. Change allocation to default, and you can label it as ARC if you want. Then just click Start. Then just copy over all of the folders that we moved over, and paste them over onto the SD card. Again, this is going to take some time. Now, I would personally suggest replacing the ROMs as well. Like I said before, they're prone to issues and not very good. One specific issue that comes up all the time is the issue with saving in some Pokemon games and others. So don't be that person that played 8 hours in a day, saved, turned it off, and came back the next day to just find your save gone. I'll link in the description to my video on retro ROMs and BIOS files to help you out here on what to do next. Otherwise, it's pretty self-explanatory. All of the folders we moved are all of the systems. So you can see that GBC is Game Boy Color, N64 is Nintendo 64, NDS is Nintendo DS, and so on and so forth. So you just want to move your games into these folders, and you can delete any games you don't want. Pretty easy stuff. Now let's turn on the actual device and change some things. Push Start to get to the main menu, and if you head to controller settings, that's where you can set it to Xbox 360 mode to connect it to a computer like I was showing earlier. It's pretty simple too. Just put it in Anbernic Xbox 360 mode, connect a USB-A to C cable, like the one that came with the device, to your computer, and then the DC port on the handheld, and off you go. Mine just worked in Street Fighter V, and I'm sure other games as well, as long as they recognize an Xbox 360 controller. Network settings is where you can connect to Wi-Fi, so may as well do so now. Let's head to game settings. For me, I'm not sure what auto is doing here, so I want to set mine manually. I also want integer scale to off, as I want to use the entire screen, but I also want to set game ratio as core provided, so we're not stretching anything. We want auto save and load as on, and that will make it so that it saves your state when you exit a game, and it loads your state when you load a game. It makes your life a lot easier. Then I definitely want shaders set and decoration to none, as I want no changes to my image and I want no pixelation or anything like that. I want to see the screen the way it should be. You can also do all of this per system if you want, and there's also more options available on a per system basis. But for today, that's really all you need right now. UI settings has themes and screensaver settings, which would be personal preference if you want to make any changes. System settings is pretty interesting. There's a toggle here if you want to boot into Android instead of Linux as default. And this is a personal choice, and it also depends on if you got the model that can dual boot into Android. But to boot into either of these otherwise, when you're starting up the console, push and hold the F button and you would be able to switch between different operating systems. Feel free to change your time zone and brightness here as well. You can adjust the brightness with a hotkey using the F button and the volume keys at the same time. If we head back to the main menu, you can push select and put it in screensaver mode, or even view the manual, in case you forgot something. Back on the main menu screen, if we jump into Apps, then Setup, there's a file manager here for some quick changes if you need to. Then there's also a whole bunch of other apps that you may or may not need. Date and time might be one of those ones that you need though. Otherwise, to launch any games you would use RetroArch or emulators. And then also the Recents or Favorites tab. To favorite a game, just push X with it highlighted and add to favorites. There isn't any scraping available in the operating system, but if you wanted to add pictures, with your ROM's SD card connected to your PC, head to any system folder, and if there isn't an images folder already, create one, and then you need to make the image name the exact name of the ROM, and then add a -image to it. I believe it needs to be in JPEG as well, and I think the included pictures were all 480 by 250 if you want to match that. I haven't found an easier way to get thumbnails or pictures onto the device than doing it manually, so I'm likely just going to forget all of it. Back to the device, and if you want to enter RetroArch while in a game, it's the F button plus B as default. There's other hotkeys as well, so I suggest you take a quick look at the manual for what they all are. A weird one is the F button plus L2 is actually fast forward, instead of the usual R2. To exit a game, it's the F button plus the start button. For actual games, I would suggest using RetroArch as much as you can, unless something can't be run, in which case you might want to check out the emulators section. RetroArch will just be easier for most people. As far as the Android side goes, I do have a few guides that I'm going to link in the description to get Play Store, as well as doing an Android emulator setup guide, and Digisho for a front end, but I'll link all of those and you can kind of navigate it as you will. I'm not going to do any Android setup in this actual video, so that'll just be something you'll have to do on your end. I think for most people, the Linux side is going to be fine, and so having this all set up properly is probably the best for most. That's all I got for this one. I just wanted to help out anyone new to this device, get set up and familiar with how things work, and get you up and running. I'm going to be working on my review video, so expect that up in the next week or so. Don't forget to like and sub to help the channel grow, and hope you all have a good one.